All right, welcome everyone to Kingdom Chat. It's gonna be an amazing night tonight. I know I said that all the time, but I mean it's really gonna be an amazing night tonight. And I want to thank our fans and those who are listening, tuning in all the time. Tonight is gonna be a good night. I want to big up my boy Caleb and Roy, our host. We have with us Josh and Jessica Cantrell. And one of the things that makes it so exciting, when we really thought of, Roy had it for years to do a podcast. We went to their engagement party, and that's when it really birthed. So you heard us talking about
So I got baptized again, and I'm not saying you're going to feel something, but y'all, I felt something. Like it was a weight here gone. And I remember, this is how I described it when it happened. I went around for 3 days telling everybody, man, it feels like I smoked a menthol cigarette. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize what it was. It was weight that was took off my chest. And I remember I walked in on my cellie, and he was praying on his knees. I said, what are you doing? And he's like, man, I grew up in church. And he started explaining, some stuff to me about posture and stuff. So I started digging into the Word and seeing where different prophets would lay different ways and on their knees, their arms up. And I started, wow, there's something to this maybe, So I was like, all right, Lord, I'm going to pray breakfast, lunch, and dinner like this. You know what I'm saying? So I started doing that. And that's where the whole transformation started, in my opinion. Because look, guys, you can confess Jesus is Lord, and you can believe in your heart, okay, and your spirit man is saved. But there's more there, and there is. It tells you to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It says work your salvation out daily, okay? Daily, So here I am with my face down praying. And 20 minutes into a prayer for the last 15 minutes, I've been thinking about cigarettes. I've been thinking about drugs. I've been thinking about women. And I'm like, God, what's wrong? Help. And literally, I heard, renew your mind. So I said, renew my mind. So I start flipping through the Bible. And I got a concordance, and I look it up, and be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, and I just read that, and I'm like, so I start praying, God, how do I renew my mind? And then it was just like, well, how did Jesus do it? Or not renewing your mind, but how did Jesus fight? Yes. And it was with the Word, So I was like, all right. So I tried a little short scripture. And the bad thing is I kept remembering what I was thinking about. So I'd go right back into it. And I'm like, Lord, what's going on? I'm trying to renew my mind. And it was just bigger scriptures. All I kept getting bigger, more, like a longer verse. And I'm like, all right, Lord. So I memorized Psalms 1. All right, it's just 6 sentences, but it was really powerful. And so 15 minutes into a 20-minute prayer, I pray for 5 minutes, I get lost 15 minutes, I immediately recite Psalms 1. And then the next time, I don't remember what I'm thinking about, so I don't go back to the same. I can continue praying. The next time I catch it 18 minutes. The next time I catch it 17. And I'm seeing a progression, y'all. It's coming like this. I see a progression. And next thing you know it, now I'm praying, after about, 4 or 5 months, I'm praying on my face, and oh my gosh, like something comes up and I can cast it out without even stop praying. And I'm like, oh man, this is good. So, and this is something, guys, that you'll never stop what you're doing until you change the way you think. And this is just for me. What happens in your mind happens in time, okay?
Now, all this was happening in jail.
Yes. Yeah, this is all jail. It's only wasted time, y'all, if you allow it, okay? Look, I made a decision that I could only count to 13 so many times playing spades, okay? I will tell you right now, look, guys, it's only wasted time if you allow it. The only game I played once I started renewing my mind was chess, and that's because I believed that it kept my mind strong. Okay, so I'd go out and play that a little bit. I would literally, y'all, if I read anything less than 10 hours a day of the Bible, man, then something was wrong. Yeah, that's all I did. All I would do was read the Word. I would come out and walk a little bit because I might get a little stiff, and then I would talk to the people as I walked. I would just testify to what the Lord had spoke to me that day, But anyways, so once my mind started renewing, Now, here's the kicker. I don't know if y'all know this, but I had the only lighter in the pod, okay? So when cigarettes come in, at the least they had to do was they had to come to you to light it, which means they had to smoke it with you. You know what I'm saying? But a lighter is worth more than what y'all think. In jail, you do a lot more. So I was making water guns, which is tattoo guns that hook up to the sink. So I was getting free tattoos because I could make those because I had a lighter. You had to have a lighter to do it. I was making ink for the guns, so I was getting free tattoos. You know what I'm saying? If you come up and you didn't have none of that and you wanted to, they smoke green beans in there. You know what I'm saying? They smoke lettuce. They smoke anything, but I'm not about to waste my fluid on that. You're going to give me a couple lunch cakes, and then I can 2-for-1 those. And then when drugs come in, I could see what I'm saying. It was like the lighter was my everything in there, guys. But I knew that I was like, man, God just don't want me to smoke. I know He don't. That's just not what He has in the will for me. So I did something. I made a bold move, okay? Because sometimes something in the natural has to shift for the spiritual to move, I feel like. So I got rid of the lighter, okay? And I wasn't just saying I didn't want to smoke. I was saying I didn't care about tattoos. I was saying I don't care about them cakes for the store. I was saying, look, I give it all to you, Lord.
Yeah.
So I'm the barber, okay? I have to get up early. So I go to bed early. So I go to bed before lockdown. I'm laying there. And I raise up, and as I'm raising up, I'm like, what's going on? It feels like somebody is pulling me up, okay? I smell cigarettes, okay? And my feet hit the ground. And I heard, what are you doing? Not audibly up here. So I thought back to it, and I said, nothing. And I stood up, and I heard, well, where are you going? And I was like, well, I'm just going to go out here and look. And then I heard, plain as day. I mean, all this is plain days, but you are not smoking. And I was like, okay. So I go out to the top tier, and I'm looking over, and you got 20 guys lined up. And these guys has got last night cakes. They got honey buns. They got their mat. Because, look, you only get this little bitty mat, right? So they got their mat, and they're stuffing it on the door. Dude, shooting stuff out in front of the door. And anyways, I'm doing all I can. I'm holding on to the top rail, and I'm like, you like your ink pen, don't you? You like writing in your Bible. They'll come and take your ink pen, and you can't write in pencil in the Bible. It's smeared, and then, oh, you like your basketball shorts. You like sleeping in your basketball shorts. You like the pockets underneath your stripes, don't you? Because you're not allowed to have pockets, you're not allowed to have stripes, in Coffee County anyway. So I'm just doing all this I can, y'all. I'm literally all this fleshly stuff trying to make myself not go down there, and I'm just holding on to it. And this is going on for an hour and 15 minutes. Well, for 45 minutes at first. And I'm just going against it. And then here comes somebody upstairs, and they call me cheesy. They said, cheesy. They said, there's cigarettes in here. I said, I smell them. And they said, well, it's so-and-so, don't you? Don't he owe you money from the store last time he was in here? I was like, yeah. He ended up making bond and getting out and not paying me. He was like, man, he's got plenty. Just go tell him to throw you some. So now before that moment, y'all, it was like a 5-Finger Death Punch song running through my veins. This fiend spirit was all over me because I had store in the cell. I could go buy the stuff, right? But I wouldn't do it. Now, it's like the enemy up the ante.
Trying to give it to you.
Yeah. Now it's free because he owes you. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So look, dude just walks off, and I turn, and I say, I told you I'm not smoking, devil. And then here's the scary thing, y'all. Same voice, different spirit. The same voice that said I wasn't smoking is the same voice I heard say, you ain't got to smoke them. You can sell them for more money. Yeah. And I said, I feel the Lord talking about it. I said, look, I said, he don't owe me no money. I said, that wasn't righteous money. As a matter of fact, he don't owe me nothing. And I turned. Now, up to this point, all I had done was like worldly stuff, try to keep me from going down there. I started swinging my sword. I said, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. The third time I proclaimed that, y'all, and I feel the Lord now. I felt the anointing break the yoke, period. Hands down is what it was. The Lord came up on me, and I no longer desired it. I felt my DNA change, y'all. I felt it change.
That's amazing.
Man, absolutely.
Come on. We got people who won't fight in freedom.
Wow.
We got people who won't fight in church for their kids. They won't fight for their kids at their schools. We won't fight for our relationships. But we got men like Josh fighting the devil in hell.
Well, you got people who won't even tell people about Jesus.
Yeah.
They got Jesus, but they ain't sharing them with nobody.
Yeah.
You know,
That's encouraging, man.
that's good stuff, man.
Oh yeah. You can't make, man. Look, it was a suddenly is what it was. Not everybody has them, and guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, like. So I faced this nicotine giant, I guess, whatever it was, and I can't tell you if it was a bundle package. I can't tell you if it's the same type of if a fiend spirit is the same thing, whether it's cigarettes or drugs. But the next day, I knew what it was. I remember I was walking back up and down the top tiers like, I wish they'd offer me a cigarette. I wish they would, bro. My desire changed. I didn't want it. It was different, like completely different. Well, I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning, and I went down to a cell that my buddy, I knew him from the street. He said, Cheesy, man, them cigarettes was on time, wasn't they? I said, bro, I didn't even smoke. He said, what? He said, man, I tell you what, he's asleep right now, but as soon as he gets up, we're going to get one. I'm going to blaze it with you. I said, nah, Johnny, I said, Johnny, I said, I don't even want to smoke, man. I'm going to quit. And he's like, all right. He says, hey, throw a towel over that door where the tower can't see in. He says, only me, you, and him know he brought this in. And he starts untying the dope bag, shaking dope out. And this is the first time I said this. I never would have thought it before. I was like, Johnny, I don't desire that neither. And he looked at me. He's like, you okay? I said, bro, I got delivered. See, I didn't know what. I knew something. I kind of knew I got delivered, I guess. But I knew that moment, like something shifted in my life in that very moment. Now, this is the part where it got tough. You think, oh, okay, so Josh is walking in freedom. It's easy. No, it got harder, y'all. It got harder. Yeah. So at that moment, I started holding communion, okay, in jail. So I was already doing prayer call and Bible study. And the ridicule I got, I was getting all kinds of ridicule anyway. And, people, good strong brothers that would be in there in my Bible study prayer call, and we would, talk about the Lord together, would come up there and they'd be like, remember, they don't get a lot of food in there, right? So the guys would, everybody be like, oh, he's luring them in with juice and crackers now. Like, hey, I'm telling you right now, man, I mean, overseas, I know they're going through a lot worse than that, but it was probably the hardest ground to till.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I know you said a lot, man, but we want to come back because I wanted to talk about, because I know you have given back to the prison ministry. You have a ministry of your own that you did calls and minister to those inside there. And but I want to touch base with Jessica a little bit. I want you to talk about some of the things that you do. I know that both of you are fully active here at Canvas. I know that you heads up different ministries at Canvas, and you might have a ministry or a foundation somewhere out there if you want to talk about that. Just talk about what you do as well, because I know that you do a lot.
And I just want to know what brought you to the Lord, because you say you were religious, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't know Jesus. Yeah. And then we can talk about your ministry, but I think it's important. Mm-hmm. We know how he converted him. Yeah. And some people are going through what he's going through, and they need that. But some people brought up like you were, right? Because I brought up, my life, I knew there was a Jesus. I was religious, but boy, when I met Jesus, it was different. It wasn't religion. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like to hear that part of your testimony first.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm going to circle back to this, but Roy, you knew exactly how I walked in here. Mm-hmm.
Broken.
And I was broken. And that just, life kind of smacks you in the face. It doesn't matter how you were brought up. I had everything I ever wanted as a kid. We had stuff upon stuff upon stuff. Now, I had a violent household, but I thought that was normal. I didn't know people didn't have that. I wasn't allowed to spend the night at other people's homes. I didn't see how they were living. I was like, I think my senior year before I realized this isn't right. And it took me almost getting thrown out of a second-story window to be like, oh, this isn't right. But I'd grown up in church. My father was actually a deacon. And he got business that way, and I think looking back, like that was the motive there probably. But for me, I just knew that you showed up on Sunday, you dressed nice, you did not cuss in church, You did not cuss in the church van. And you wore your best clothes, and nobody knew anything that was happening at home. And it did not matter that your parents had just been screaming and yelling or, smacking anybody. It did not matter. And you memorized your scripture, and you showed up for Awanas, because I did that. So, we did all of that stuff. And as a teenager, I'd started pursuing the Lord more. I had friends that seemed to have a different feeling towards church than me, and it seemed to be something more. And so I hung out with them a bit. It didn't quite rub off. I started doing more in church, but not more for the Lord. And there's such a huge difference. I was actually, even as an adult, I was leading worship. The Lord gifted me with a voice, and I was leading worship, but it was all me. I lived for that. Your voice is so beautiful, and we're so glad that you're here. And being in...
So you're singing for Josh now?
He's heard me sing.
Okay.
Yeah, he's heard me sing mostly Disney songs. And then when I cook, it's a lot of worship and stuff. But that's why the food tastes so good.
She actually sings better than any of those Disney characters. Y'all need to hear her sing.
Yeah, but anywho, and with the Baptist Association, you did like competitions with different choirs. And so I actually went to a couple of different churches. They would have me come to their church so that I could join their group or lead their worship. And I was living for me, but people in the pews, they didn't know. They had absolutely no idea. The Lord kind of smacked me in the face a bit with that. And I quit, and I just thought that I could handle my life on my own. I'd been doing that. As a kid. I'd been working from a very young age. I'd had to grow up really fast. I'd seen a lot of stuff. But I was very angry, like very, very angry, very bitter. It was actually something that my dad was proud of. He said that I would cuss out the preacher, and that's not a joke. Like I did not care who you were. I would cut you up. I would tear you down, and I was proud that I'd done it. I thought that made me something, and I was just a very angry person. It took no time at all to make me
your
angry.
father was proud of that too. And
Yes, that was actually a wake up call for me. Like, this man thinks that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that can't be good. And I tried to work on me. I tried really hard to work on me, and I did okay, right? I think that we all have the capacity to make some change ourselves, but it's not lasting change. There was nothing that I could do within myself that was permanent, and certainly nothing that made me feel good. I was very empty. The Lord gave me my daughter, Julie, and I didn't want children. He knew what he was doing, giving me Julie. She has shown me so much about how the Lord loves me, because I see how much I love her.
Yes.
And just the grace that I have for her, that is like, why do I have grace for this child who just spoke to me that way?
Yeah.
She has not done anything I've asked her to do today. Why is there still this grace there?
It makes us understand why God doesn't kill us.
Yes, absolutely. Because I've not. She's alive and well and playing on a laptop right now. So but anywho, the Lord started to let me see things through Julie. I didn't want Julie to think that the world was harsh and cruel, and I started to notice that for all of my changing. And it didn't matter that I had never been drunk. It didn't matter that I'd never done drugs,
right.
that, my siblings had been in those situations. I hadn't. It started to settle in with me that those things, while good and great, that was not all I was here for. It was just to be able to say, I've never been drunk, I've never done drugs. There was something more. And I wanted my daughter to see that. I tried to fill that with a career. And the Lord, in all of my mess, blessed me with an amazing career. And if I had all the time in the world, I would dive into that, because even people who do not know the Lord realize through that sequence of events, that was set up for you. So he set me up for that, and I'm forever grateful. But through Julie, I started to realize that's not it either. I'm not just here to break glass ceilings. And I actually kind of lost it and had a meltdown on Julie over something very simple, just because I was stressed out and I was frustrated. And I saw my child just melt to the floor, and I realized I can't do this on my own. So that's when the Lord started really opening things up for me, really tugging on my heartstrings again, and allowing me to see that I can do a lot, but I cannot do all things. He's the only one who can do all things. And that I can do all things with him, not all things by myself. And so when I walked through the doors here, the Lord had already done a lot. He'd actually delivered me from that anger. Until I met Josh, I'd never known anybody who had like that physical feeling of deliverance. I was in my kitchen, and I told the enemy to leave. And I stood on the word, and I felt it from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. It was like fire hit me. And I have not had any issues. Like you could not make me lose it in the same way. It's like a whole different person, and I can't believe that I was that person. Doesn't mean I don't still get frustrated. We all get frustrated, but that old Jessica is dead. And the new Jessica is sitting here, and the Lord is using me. And through that, I came to Canvas. I actually fought that for a long time, because I was like, no, because somebody's going to figure out that I can sing, and then they're going to want me up there on the stage. And I don't want to have anything to do with that, Lord, because that was all me, and I don't feel called to do that. Well, things started being taken away from me. Friends, people that I counted on. And the Lord, I don't think the Lord was just going around plucking things out of my life, but he was certainly letting it happen. And I started to realize all throughout this time, the Lord was showing me Canvas. It would be like I would tell the Lord in prayer, well, if you want me to go to church, you're going to have to find a really rock solid one for my kid. Like, it is not going to be like what I grew up with. It is not going to be just scripture memorization. I want her to know you. Well, then I started seeing on Facebook stuff about Canvas, and their children's ministry and their youth stuff. And then I started to, everything else I went to the Lord with, it started showing up. People would talk about it. And then I even used the excuse, like, Lord, it doesn't even look like a church. and the Lord was like, yeah, but you went to stuff that looked like church, and how did that work out for you? Yeah. And he said, it's time for a change. And so one more thing was taken from me, and I was up all night, and I just realized, like, Lord, if I don't show up, I don't want to know what happens next. Like, I'm going to show up. So we got up the next morning, we came to Canvas, and in the very first song, it's like the Lord just moved through both me and Julie. I looked over and she looked up, and we were both just in tears, and she was like, Mommy, this is home. And and just in the time that I've been here, the Lord has repaired all of the damage that has been mostly self-inflicted since being an adult. But all of that stuff that was there as a kid, I can talk about those things now. I finally opened up to Josh about parts of my testimony that I have never told anybody else. I got to share some things with Caleb's wife, and I would have never done that before healing. And so there's just been so much of that. And I mean, we could keep going on and on and on about an amazing church and how wonderful the people are here, and the way that the Lord used all things, even in putting me in the parking lot. Because I was that person who could sneak in, sneak out, and say, well, they weren't very friendly, Lord.
Everybody who comes in.
And I could identify those very people that were just like me and make a beeline right to them. So don't say that he won't use all things. He will use all things. And also, because we had the coffee shop down at the end of the church, that is how Josh and I met. I don't even like coffee, y'all. I was trying to get Julie involved in devotionals, and she loves coffee. So that's how we started doing that, and Josh and I met through there. And I'm going to steal part of what his testimony is, and that's that the Lord told him that his future wife would come from Canvas. Neither of us knew that when we were becoming friends. And that over that course of time, the Lord also called me into a ministry of my own. I couldn't understand it then. I certainly understand it now. He told me that I was going to work with men, And I'm like, well, okay. I'm like, I was raised to do that, but Lord, these are religious people, a lot of them, and they're not going to understand a woman working with men. And I have faced a lot of that. But the Lord called me into a ministry, started Recovering Home, and we work with men who are coming out of recovery programs. I like Be the Bush, and we help with getting things like driver's licenses, getting social security cards, tax returns, getting jobs, housing, all this stuff. We've helped some people get furniture for their new homes. And then, of course, with the Lord putting me and Josh together, it's just really cool to see that he works with men. I was called to work with men, and just us sharing the same heart in that.
I know that I've only worked with Coffee County Jail and ministry there, and so I can't speak for every county, but I know Coffee County, I don't know if most people realize how totally broken they dismiss people from jail. When they get their term out, they will not let them leave. They have to leave at midnight. So half the time, it's their junkie friends, the only ones they can come get them, pick them up.
Yeah.
They're the only ones they know, or family that's that's the whole reason they're in that mess, and then they've got nowhere to go, and they've got nobody to help them. Most of them come out. A lot of times they come out of jail, they don't have so much as a shaving kit, let alone clothes. And I my eyes were open so much in Coffee County, just how, and Coffee County has the highest recidivism, for those that don't know, is that means those that get out of jail and end up right back into jail, has the highest recidivism rate in the state of Tennessee. Wow. That is ridiculous. Wow. I think it's somewhere 70-something% in Tennessee, and Coffee County it's 80-something%. That is ridiculous. And so, having a ministry to help them so they don't end up going right back into that with things that seem simple. But when you got nowhere to go, no job opportunities, you haven't got a driver's license. These things are the things that send you right back to the places you escaped from, and end up right back in the same place again.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that, well, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get your life together.
Yeah,
How
but
do you
when
get your life together when you have no place to stay, you can't get a job, you have no money? You're going to default back to what you know and what's easy. Like Josh was talking about his grandmother, he had a place to default back to. And then, of course, the trap house. He didn't go there because he wanted to fall back in his mess. He went there because that's the only place he had to go.
That would accept him, yes.
Yes, and I mean, it's cool that you said that, and if anybody that's watching, I really want to take this opportunity to say this, that you can contribute to maybe whichever way it is to contribute to their ministry so that they can help more people. I know that they probably want to help as much as they can, because you got to pay for driver's license, you got to pay to get, I think, your social security and stuff like that. You got to pay for all those stuff to get them back, and sometimes it takes more to get them back than just to get them at first time. And for me, I looked at it as you're giving someone their identity back. You're giving someone their purpose back. You're giving someone a sense of hope again, like I am now a part of society again. And that's what a lot of those persons lost. They lost longing, being accepted, and so you're giving them, they have an ID. They can apply for a job, and they have an address. They have something, they don't have just a house. You are giving them a home as well. And I believe that's something beautiful. And if anyone want to help in that, I mean, I don't know if you want to throw any information.
So a lot of people come out so broken that it doesn't take but something so small to put them right back in that situation. So when you give them even just transportation to a safe place, you could be saving their life. And then when you give them their identity back, literally their identity,
something
that's you're helping someone get their life back.
Yes,
and I guarantee that everybody who is watching this knows somebody.
Yes,
either in their family or your friends who have gone through addiction or incarceration. It's very and like Roy said, I mean, if out of 390 people in the jail, 300 of them are coming back.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And
so we know Josh. Josh works for Be the Bush Ministry. You're the coordinating undertaker.
did you say undertaker?
I did say undertaker. I did. I meant to say intake coordinator, and I said it backwards and made you the undertaker. We don't want to be the undertaker. That's what we're trying to prevent. But what's the name of your ministry? Because we didn't get that.
Recovering Home.
Recovering Home. Also, so we will make sure that do you have a website? Do you have a place that people can go and donate?
Yes, you can go to our Facebook page. There are links to the website there, and it's just got like a little purple swoosh and 2 people, so it makes it really easy to find. And it's Recovering Home. A lot of people try to find it under Recovering Homes, and that's a totally different business. She's made that mistake. Yeah, no S's.
Maybe I put some money in our.
Is there a number?
Josh, can I get that back?
A number?
Yes, so they can call me directly. And I can give my cell phone number. That's 615-603-5689.
All right.
Yes.
And I know Josh and I would teach Bible study at Be the Bush Ministry and have for years and enjoy that. And Josh and I were becoming friends as I was teaching him. A lot of the guys I'm close to, but there was just something that we struck up a friendship that only a few of the other men have I been that close to, I think. And at the same time, you were starting to come to Canvas, and I just want to tell the story because I just think it's so cool. Because seeing the Lord work, you're telling it, but I'm telling from my perspective. When you came on Wednesday night, first time I ever met you was on Wednesday night. On Sunday, I'm usually busy running around, helping my wife's computers because she's in charge of the children's ministry. They're always breaking, and something's always going on. Printer's not working, whatever. So I miss a lot of people. But on Wednesday night, I saw you, and it was like I had this overwhelming knowledge is the only way I can put it, that this girl is saved, but she's broken. Like life has just broke her. And I could see the brokenness on you. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember praying so hard for you when you'd come, and I'd leave here and I'd be in the middle of the week and the Lord would be like, you need to pray for her. She's having a rough day, And that's how much the Lord laid you on my heart. And then when you two started to come together a couple, you don't know how cool I thought it was. I didn't say nothing because you don't want to mix up the water when there's somebody in a new relationship. You just want to stay out of it. But I was like, that's cool, Lord. Because I already had loved both of you so much. Yeah. And then seeing you two come together, I prayed for your union too. That even if it was just a time thing where you're just dating for a little while and then it doesn't go serious, I wanted it to be a mutually beneficial time of dating, and the Lord turned it into more. And then when Josh come, he says, "Listen, I want to ask her to marry me. I want you to come to that." I'm gonna be there. And we were there, and it was wonderful, and certainly shocked you. And
it's the coolest.
Yeah. He had all these people there waiting for her at the coffee shop, and she come in there not thinking nothing's going on.
We tricked her with a prayer meeting. We told her it was a prayer meeting.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because I told Josh that she's too smart.
Yeah, she's pretty smart.
She's going to know immediately.
All the cars and people, yeah.
Right. All the running around just
real.
To get the ring. And
I think that your wife was texting you like maybe 5 minutes after we got there. Like she's figuring it out.
Yep.
Because I got there, his wife and I were supposed to go to the gym, but it had like snowed or there was ice or something, and so it kind of delayed us. And I was like, well, we can go later. And she's like, let's just skip the gym and go to the coffee shop, right? Because not going to the gym screwed up our timeline for all of these people who were supposed to be there. And so I get there, and I am way underdressed for a proposal. I was dressed for the gym already, and that is how I was staying, leggings and a T-shirt. And I'm like, man, this is a lot of people. And so I was like, there's never been this many people. And wait, they're all from church. What is happening? And so his wife, Brenda, God bless her, she did such a good job. She was like, yeah, they're having a prayer meeting. He didn't tell me. I just, you know how husbands are. Oh my gosh. She really laid it on things. Just like, he never tells me anything, And so I'm like, okay, husbands,
Used our faults against you.
And so Josh, I noticed that there was something in his back pocket, right? And so I'm like, that's awfully weird. Josh is always very well.
He got one of these skinny jeans with this big old thing in his back pocket.
And he's always so very well put together, so you never see anything in his pockets, nothing's ever like out of place. I'm like, that's odd. That's very odd. What's happening? And so then I'm asking Brenda, like, what is in his back pocket? And Brenda, bless her heart, she was like, I don't think my husband would want me to look at his back pocket.
She's doing everything to throw you off.
Oh my gosh, she needs to work for the CIA. She's good, boy.
She
She's
was
good.
doing such a good job.
She's good.
And so I guess she'd sound the alarm bells. And
She
so,
said, we need to speed this up.
and so they're like, okay, we're going to go in here and pray. And they just like grabbed me and they're like, let's go. And so I was like, okay, sure, we'll pray. I'm not part of the prayer team, but yay. And I thought it was very odd. I went to go grab Josh's hand and he moved and Brenda grabbed me and then someone else grabbed me. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not praying next to my boyfriend. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then Caleb prayed, and I opened my eyes at the end of the prayer to find Josh on one knee, and it was just everybody else was just like so unshocked. I was like, oh, they're all in on it. But it was beautiful and it was wonderful, and it's really cool to know that the Lord also used that not only to give way to our marriage, but also to this podcast. So that's really, really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, well, afterwards we were all fellowship and everything else, and these two said, I want to do a podcast. And I'm like, what? I invited myself in.
He wasn't even sitting. Roy ran over from the corner.
I did. I heard podcasts from across the room, and like dog ears. I'm like, what? And I'm like, well, what are you guys saying? Yeah, I want to be part of this. And then so I just went out and bought the equipment and told them guys, hey, we're doing this. Because I had been saving money. It had been on my mind for years, and it had been heavily on my mind weeks before. And I love that he did it with my friends in this friendly atmosphere at this time. It was a gift, and I'll never forget your engagement either because of that, but also because of y'all guys.
That was I'll tell you, we had so many people even before that was even going to happen. We were like, we didn't really talk about it because we didn't want to get Josh in trouble. Yeah. But we were like, there were so many people cheering you guys on. Me and Rory were talking about it for a long. It was like, it's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen. and then when that come up, man, Josh talked about it. He said, man, I need help. I need to get a ring. I said, let's do it. So we went all in, and it was like, man, 2 weeks of planning. And then so after all the planning, all the things, Brenda texted me, said, we got to speed this up. I'm like, I knew this was going to happen. Hey, you can't pull nothing on a good luck, Josh, for the rest of your life. But I know, right? And I just thought it was so cool, and how we all hit it off from the beginning, like with Josh. I don't know how me and Josh haven't known each other forever because we pretty much grew up right down the road from each other. He's a little older than I am, but we know all the same people. We go out to communities and do ministry, and people will know me. They'll know him. How did we all not get together at some point? Yeah. And then with Jessica, I actually met Jessica first because I wasn't working with the ministry at that point. But I met Jessica, and I didn't realize that I've known her family for like a long time. I knew her dad for longer than I've known her. My oldest daughter, I have pictures of her playing in your dad's garden when she was growing up. We were their neighbors for some years back in the day, and they actually were the ones who got us to go to church at that little Baptist, or what was it, the Methodist church down there? Yeah,
right down the road. And it's cool that you mentioned that because I bypassed right by that with my testimony. But the Lord has done quite a work in my dad too. Just to be the kind of person that would befriend other people. He didn't do that.
Yeah, I could
before. Sometimes it's still a little odd for him to give hugs. He's not sure how to do that. But yeah, it was so crazy. We didn't even realize that you had known my family until my stepmom came to church, and then she was like, Brenda? And Brenda's like, Karen?
Yeah. It was so crazy. It was amazing how the Lord has put all that together, and how we've talked about this so many times before. How amazing is it that we could all have these situations in life going on all around each other at the same time, and then with just a moment, He changes things and brings it together. It's like the thread has been moving, and then He pulled it. And it's like such an amazing, relationship, and we definitely are glad to know you guys, and life's better because of it. So
and it's definitely a God thing. you guys' engagement, like how many engagement birth a ministry?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
How many? And I want to shout out to Ryan Brown. He told me last week, he said, Junior, when is the next podcast? He said, I've watched every single episode, and he's 15. He's a young kid.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of older person, a lot of adults watch the program, but I want to shout out to him, young boy,
Nice.
that really take time to invest spiritually into something that, I guess, from the first time he's growing or learning something from it, so he continue and he wants to know when is the other one. So there you go, sir.
Yeah,
big up,
certainly.
one love, blessings.
Ryan's a good kid.
Yep.
And
So
Ryan, we'll try to do better about having more shows and not skipping like we did.
so
We'll try
it
to
was
make up for that.
definitely a God thing. And so
We just
I
all
know,
got busy.
I know time has been going by real fast. As someone said, when you're having fun and when you're talking about the Lord, time went by without even realizing.
Yeah.
And I really want Josh to touch a little bit and beat the bush, because he had done a tremendous job there. In just taking over the ministry. And
Not as the Undertaker.
Yeah, right. And just running with it. And man, I also taught at Beat the Bush, and I've made a lot of reference to you, of how you have grown, and what you have
Intake
become.
coordinator. They're slightly different.
So yeah, I want you to touch a little bit on that as we go into it. So just talk a little bit about that, where you have been with that, how that has been for the guys there, and just the mentorship that you had offer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I was saying before, when I was in jail and everything, I was going through all this and happened. Now, I read Jeremiah 29:11, and in that I heard that if you go to be the bush, I will establish you. I will bring you into existence. Your future job, career, wife will come through this program. And I was like, well, all right, Lord. I just talked to Caleb McCall, and he said I couldn't talk to women. But I know your word will not come back void. So seriously, I stood on his word would not come back void. So I went up for parole. I didn't make it. They put me off a year. So I could have got real bitter, but I didn't. But during that year, I stayed faithful, held prayer call, Bible study still, and pressed into the Lord more. And he restored 4 cousins and my daughter to me, all having houses now, all had places to go. So I no longer needed to be the bush to go to it. But I said, you know what? God made me a promise, and his promises are yes and amen.
Yes.
So I went up next year. I went up for parole. I didn't make it again. I thought, how is this possible? I'm going to flatten a 6 out. I come in on a fresh 6. I'm going to flatten it out in the county. I thought, this is crazy. So instead of getting bitter again, I pressed in more to the Lord. And then 4 months later, that's when I had that situation I testified to where I got delivered.
Yeah.
So I was delivered 9 months before I came to the ministry, literally like indeed, like, who the Son sets free is free indeed. I'm not talking about captive Christians. I'm talking about like free, the jail door was open and I ran right out of it, So anyways, so I go to be the bush, did just like the Lord had said to do. I did it. I completed the program. The same day I graduated, I was in prayer and God gave me one word. He said, immediately. And I was like, immediately? He says, immediately I will open up the storm windows of heaven and I will pour my blessings out upon you. So since then, I was the intake coordinator at that time. I was the first student to actually have a staff job. And as soon as that happened, Caleb, the executive director of Be the Bush, had asked me if I thought about staying, and I told him that I loved it there. That seeing these men come to the Lord. A lot of people they get to sow, right? They get to water, but God gives the increase, and we don't all get to see that increase. Mm-hmm. So to be there with these men and watch what the Lord does in their lives and watch them grow, see the increase is probably, I want to put it right up there with one of the best blessings, except from finding my wife. We're gonna say that. One of the best blessings that I had to. But so right quick though, I want to testify the goodness of the Lord. So that was February 5th of last year. And since then, Lord's done so much, but these main things that I can just tell y'all is that, I was faithful to the Lord, and I was just obedient in that. what he did was he kept his word, and immediate was a great word because it was like 6 months in after I graduated, and I had got my license back for the first time in 15 years. Mm-hmm. I started a jail ministry. Mm-hmm. All right, I had gotten married. We had bought a house. I got a car gave to me, a nice car, and I got to walk my daughter down the aisle. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I became the director of the same program that I graduated. So, like, the director of compliance, you know, and that's huge, you know, because I get to actually make decisions, you know, with these guys and do life with them there. You know, it's not a homeless shelter, it's not a halfway house, it's not a 3/4 house, it's a discipleship program. Yes. Jesus discipled, right, the disciples, and the root word is discipline. So he disciplined the disciples for 3.5 years before they got power from on high. So, and that's what the program's about. It's you know, you hear the word recovery, and it's used really loose, especially in like secular things. This is how I see it. Recovery is really what you can do on your own. You're white knuckling it. What we do is life transformation through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and there's nothing like that. You can white knuckle all you want, but that's not freedom. If you're like, all right, the dope is 3 houses down, I'm going to stay over here, but it's still popping up in your mind. Yeah. That's not freedom. That's torture. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I lived it. I know, and I'm going to tell you right now. Renewing your mind was the most important, but the other thing that we're really touched with the guys is identity. Identity drives behavior. If you don't know who you are, you don't know how you're supposed to act. And these are just things that we really drive into the guys there at the ministry. You know, we let them know that they might have done what the community or the police or whoever, that they might have done what they said they'd done, but that doesn't have to define you today. Right. You know, nobody's perfect. We've all made mistakes, but look, the righteous may fall 7, but he's going to get right back up and move on. And I'm not saying that gives you a license to sin at all, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're growing in the Lord, you're not going to want to do that anymore. You're not going to want to. I don't have to. I get to. You know, and that's literally the difference. It's all about perspective. It's all about that. If you got to have that perspective about you. But yeah, we do so much stuff there with the guys, man, pouring into them. We offer so much opportunity. We got Teen Challenge literature, which is based off of the Bible. So God's Word, you can't stand on nothing more solid than that. So we do all that. We do life with the guys, like I said, and we help them with life skills and stuff like that. But again, what the average Christian does in 5 years, we do in 1. So we really usher them in the presence of the Lord. And it's kind of like the pastor said, you know, I never really thought about it like this. He was talking about, you know, the presence of the Lord. That he is omnipresent, but that is different than the manifested. You know, when it manifests, like there is healing, there's you're delivered, you're set free indeed. All of that in that manifestation of him when he comes in, you know, which is different than the omnipresence of him. But you know, I never thought about it like that. But that's what we do. We really usher them in that, and man, we see these guys, man, and I can't judge somebody's heart, but I see fruit. You can't fake fruit. Yeah, I've learned that. You cannot fake fruit. And, you know, one guy come in and be like, man, you got this. I love you, brother. Love me. I ain't gay. And then before he graduates, he's like, man, I love you, brother. Yeah, I love you, brother. You know, and it's just beautiful to see the Lord, what he does to the hearts. And again, it's through his Spirit that this transformation is able to take place.
Yeah. And one of the things that I like there, one of the teachings that offers is 33 steps to authentic manhood. Man, I've gone through Iowa, man. We have done a lot of programs and teachings, and there's a lot done, man. And I've done stuff on authentic manhood before, but man, going through the class with these, because I get to teach one of those classes on a Monday. And I was going through it, and it was talking about fathers and sons. No, I've learned a lot about fathers and sons. And I spend a lot of time with my son. Like, you know, we play ball in the house basically every single day. You know, we broke stuff. Raquel, my wife is going crazy right now. She's about to bore every single ball that we have in the house. Like, it's just crazy the way we play right now. I would just open the door and he comes in and he just started tackling me. You know, and I've learned something, because one of the things that the program does, it allows the men that lost touch with their children are lost touch with authentic manhood to reconcile themselves back to their children, as the Bible talks about the fathers returning to their children. I've gone to one of the class. Man, I was totally transformed. I went straight home. I couldn't wait till Joel get from school, and I went right into his room, man, and I jumped on his bed and I start something new with him. And they talk about one with this lady, with the daughters. And I'm like, man, how comes we miss these things? You know, and you realize that you are always learning something new. It's just how you put it into practice. And I went home and I said, hey, Chelsea. And I started a new thing with my daughter, you know. And it's such a great program. It's giving back these men a sense of purpose and identity of being a man and a father.
That's good.
Man, the program is beautiful. I tell these guys, I said, man, I wish, as Caleb said, man, people are paying hundreds of or thousands of dollars for programs like these that you guys are getting for free.
Oh yeah, like this is real talk.
Amazing.
This is real talk, y'all. $21,000 a month for similar programs. Yeah. And all we do is take a donation of $2,000 for the whole year, and that's if you have it. If you don't, then we don't let money come between you and being able to get closer to God. You know, and the program is a minimum of a year. The literature you're talking about is the Authentic Manhood 33 series that looks into the life of Jesus, because he's truly the authentic man. I mean,
I left that part of it.
He is the authentic man, and he's who we can learn from and be not the man that society says you need to be, not even the man you might think you need to be that you didn't have, but the man, the father that your children deserve and God called you to be. And that's really, that's just part of the literature, man, that we do there at Be the Bush Ministries. And again, it's a beautiful thing. We just do so much with the guys. We do outreach as well, and I think we're all involved in that outreach, as a matter of fact, as well, through that through Canvas now, and I'm so thankful for that. That's just something that really tugs on my heart, as going out there and being able to go out and pray with people and take them hot meals or anything else that they need and stuff. So, you know, my life has really been just focused around that as well. And I get to take the guys with us. Sometimes we got 2 guys going this Friday with us, is going to get to go out there. And one of them had said that, you know, he actually ran a program in another state. So pretty much he was Caleb McCall, I guess you could say, for our ministry. And he started a little too early, he said, but he got pushed into it anyway. Long story short, he ended up backsliding and stuff like that. So now he's in our program. And I had took him out there a couple of times, because once was Women of Fire, and we had to have as many guys as we could, because, you know, slick the women be running that thing. I know. I was like, we need some help.
It's like, there's one other, right? You know,
we need backup.
This is it.
I was like, look here, I called every one of you guys, and all y'all was like, man, we got our kids. I'm like, y'all can't fuck shit with the kids.
We were struggling, bro.
All the women disappeared.
It was a good joke that weekend too.
I'm sure.
Y'all to know, like, because he was letting me know that they're all with their kids, and I'm like, they don't know how to get a sitter.
It's one of those. It's one of those things that we like whenever Raquel travels, when we were doing YWAM, I felt like that's like one of the most precious time with the kids, so that they don't miss mommy. Kids miss mommy a lot, and so even though I have teenage kids, but man, it was that special time where we get to do everything that Raquel is not there to see. There's no borders, there's no boundaries, there's no, you know, she can't say don't do that. We mess the whole place up when it's time for her to come back. We're like, clean up. You know?
This sounds more like a precious time for you.
Yeah, man. So as again time. So guys, have you? Does anything else stand out that you want to share before we wrap it up?
I think you need to talk about your clothing ministry, or not ministry, but what is it? Talk about it. Entrepreneur.
Definitely not a ministry. It's clothing, and as Josh pointed out, there are tons of people with clothing. But Josh and I started an apparel company called Yael Apparel. And I think that we all know the story of Yael, and I think so. The sharp breath, I would assume, is your acknowledgement of the tent spike.
Yep.
But the Lord spoke to me through that story, in that, you know, we don't all have to have fancy titles. We don't have to hold any special position. And the Lord just uses us where we're at and the things that we can give. And Yael was not a part of the army, and she was not a captain of anything. She simply invited someone into her tent, was hospitable, and then took that 10 spike and solved a lot of issues with that 10 spike all in one swing. And the Lord just said that Josh and I were called to kill a tyrant, just like Yael was. And for us, that's addiction. And what we do is we just have faith-based shirts and things, and you can go to yael.com. I think everything right now is showing is sold out, but you can look it up on Facebook and message us too, and we can get whatever.
So that'll help fund your ministry too, right?
Oh yes. So with Yael, we give 15% of the profits back to ministries like Be the Bush and Miriam House and things like that. So it's not just funneling to me and Josh. It's used.
And we'll put the links
these.
below our YouTube page.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, you guys, I've been looking forward to this. So thankful for you guys both coming. This has been a blessing, and I appreciate it. Well, we have definitely used up our time, but we knew we would. And I'm proud of Josh. You just don't know how quick.
Yeah.
He
I think most of our viewers probably do know.
Oh my gosh. Some of you don't know.
Please don't. We need to put a. This is not a long one. Click on this one.
There's just so much testimony to
I
give,
know,
though.
I
The goodness
know.
of God is crazy.
There it is.
No, it is. And definitely he's given you the ability to give it. And I pick on him because I'm just as bad as he is. So, but I love these guys. I love my partners on the podcast. I love our producers back here. And but guys, we love you, and we're just thank you so much for coming on to our podcast. And guys, thank you so much for watching. And before we go, we got to have the Jamaican word of the day.
Oh.
Yeah, we need a Jamaican
We
word
need
of
a
the
Jamaican
day.
word.
All right. So they want to know what glory is in Jamaica.
No.
So we just say simple glory.
He chanced out on us there.
That's good. It's still good. It's
Next
still
time
good.
we'll get us a new Jamaican word, but glory. All right.
It's going to turn into Sesame Street.
Y'all, please like and subscribe. We need that so we can build up this channel for the glory of the Lord. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.